Hey guys, it's the Fuzzy One here to give you another guide. This time we're going to do Counter Jungling Cookie Monster Nunu. Now when I'm counter jungling with Nunu, I like to start boots, a ward, and a health potion. That ward allows me for some aggressive vision in their jungle to make the counter jungling easier. And to be honest, Nunu really doesn't need the extra potions because his consume makes jungling absurdly easy. So I'm actually going to go run straight down to their red because they have a Lee Sin, and I know that Lee Sin is going to start at red. So I want some vision on that half of the map so I can make good choices when I decide to start counter jungling. So I'm going to place that ward. Because I'm in a pug match, I'm not really sure these guys are the best of partners, so I'm actually going to back off, start my blue, and then begin to counter jungle. Now because I'm going to be counter jungling, there is absolutely no reason for me to stick around after I take this blue. So I might as well clear wolves first, take the blue, and then go along my merry way. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the wolf camp up here. Remember, with Nunu, you're always going to want to start consume. There's absolutely no reason to start with anything else. So start your consume, start wolves, and then start your counter jungling. The reason I like to counter jungle with Nunu is his consume plus smite makes clearing any camp amazingly fast. Plus his blood boil gives him some absurd movement speed, allowing him to quickly get in and quickly get out of the enemy jungle. Now just to see that power of the smite consume, take a look at how fast I destroy this blue buff. That first tick was my consume, this second stack is my smite, and it's already down. I have blue buff, I have nearly full health and full mana. I'm actually going to go down here on bottom lane to start harassing because they don't have a sustained heal. So I want to put my lane into the driver's seat. I want to get them an early advantage. Now if I had Ice Ball here as opposed to Blood Boil, I probably could have gotten this kill. But when Lee Sin comes down, it's definitely no longer favorable. Now at this point, I personally realize that nothing more is going to come out of this. We're not going to get a kill. So I go ahead and decide to leave. Noticing that Lee Sin sticks around, I decide to go ahead and steal some of his jungle. Unfortunately, my bottom lane doesn't realize what I do and sticks around for a little too long. Now one cool thing to realize with this ward placement is I saw the exact moment that Lee Sin's red was destroyed. So that means the second it respawns, I will see it on the map, and I could make a move to counter jungle him at that point. So I've now stolen golems. I'm going to go ahead and steal this big wraith and leave the rest for him because I don't know where he is, so it might be dangerous to stick around too long. I see him pop up on top lane trying to gank our Akali, and because he takes a lot of turret hits with a really quick ice ball, it's a very easy gank. Not the smartest move on Lee Sin's part. Unfortunately, it's followed up by an equally stupid move by Akali when she gets killed by minions because she couldn't find her shroud button. Go figure. Now, the one thing to remember when counter jungling is you don't really have a set route. You kind of go with whatever camps are available, when they're available, and you basically try and steal as much as you can away from the enemy jungler and deny him that early golden XP. Ordinarily, right now, I would have gone from these wraiths to my red, but because that Lee Sin was so gracious to donate his red buff, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there and get some XP later and go ahead and help out my top lane. Now when Kennen goes into this bush, I can't slow him. So I wait for that talent on what I thought was a guaranteed slow. Unfortunately it wasn't, forcing Kennen to flash and us to flash after him. Really doesn't matter though because it's a really quick kill. Now I noticed that Akali has left mid, probably to go for blue because Lee Sin doesn't need it. So I head down here to check that blue to get the timer on it and as well see if anyone is sticking around. Luckily for me, not only do I get the timer on blue, but I also find a half health level 3 no buff Lee Sin, which means he has no chance of leaving. So at this point I thought about leaving, but noticed that Akali didn't really come to help her Lee Sin at all, so I'm like, what the hell, I'll go ahead and steal out some more jungle for this Lee Sin. Now the important thing to know at this point is the score. I am 3-0 with 18 minion farm. Lee Sin is 1-2-1 with 4 minion farm. So after this I'm going to go ahead and try and gank Ahri. Unfortunately our Akali is a little slow on the uptake and it doesn't really come for anything. At this point I see that lanes are kind of where they need to be. Talon's even a little bit overextended, so I'm going to go ahead and take some of my own jungle, level up, and just try and keep my advantage over Lee Sin as much as I possibly can. Now I know that I have my own, I know that I have red buff right now, but I'm counter jungling, so I'm worried that Lee Sin might come in and try and steal my red later when I'm out in his jungle. So I'm going to go ahead and take my own red just to ensure that Lee Sin can't have it. After I down this red, I'm going to go ahead and go for my own golems. Again, just trying to press that early advantage that I got as much as possible by building my gold and building my XP as quickly as I can. Now, along those lines are my first items of building that gold advantage early. When I'm jungling, I really like gold per 5 items. Gold per 5 items allow for sustained gold generation when you're running around a lot and not consistently farming. So with Nunu, especially with Nunu, I like to get the Heart of Gold first. Because he has that ability to cast spells for free after so many auto attacks, mana isn't as big of an issue. So I like to get the health for some tankiness, and then I'll go a Philostone after this. Now the two important things to realize are I got an early Oracles because we're in the driver's seat. I'm up, I haven't died, and I'm beating this Lee Sin. So I want to take out as many enemy wards as possible to, 1, make it difficult for him to gank, and 2, to make it easier for me to gank. So I grab an early Oracles, but the second thing is I buy wards. Guys, if you are jungling, you have to be buying wards. You are the most mobile person on your team. So if there's ever a ward that displaces, you can easily go pick that up and secure safety and kills for your own team. Wards pay for themselves hand over fist. The return on them is absolutely superb. Now just then Lee Sin was actually getting frustrated and trying to steal my blue, but fact of the matter is I'm Nunu. I have Consume and I have Smite. There was no way he was going to beat me to the punch on that one. So go ahead and clear out my blue. I walk down into this river, notice that I don't see any wards and that the Ezreal is stupidly overextended. So I come in behind him to make sure we get a good solid gank. I know that he's in this bush, so I just go ahead and pop my ulti for the slow, let the Sivir and the Kale catch up, and we pick up a really quick and easy kill. Now at this point Lee Sin comes down and I decide that it's probably best to leave. Knowing that Lee Sin is going to be stuck on bottom with that Sivir Kale pressure, I go ahead and steal some more of his jungle. Now remember, I saw when that died, so I knew that his red was back up and I could go ahead and steal it. Now thankfully for me, that bottom lane chased our Sivir Kale way too long and ended up picking up a double kill. So here I left the 2 small lizards because I really don't need the XP or the gold at this point. So I'm just going to leave them there, making that longer to respawn for Lee Sin later. So after stealing his red and noticing that Akali has left mid, losing the opportunity really for me to gank, I go ahead and take some more CS from my lane, or excuse me, from my jungle, and just make sure that I keep myself nice and beefy. At this point, I'm at 35 minions to Lee Sin's 15. I have double his minion farm. I've been in 1 more kill than he has. He's been in a combined total of 3, I've been in a combined total of 5. So I'm up on his ganks by 2, and I have double his minion farm. The idea here is that I'm just trying to keep my advantage over him for as long as possible. Because unfortunately Nunu does kind of fall off late game. He becomes a CC and a buff bot. You spam your Blood Boil on your AD carry and you create a null zone with your slow, or with your ultimate, and you create a null zone with your slows to kind of keep your AD carries safe. Now I come up here on top lane. Again, I have this Oracle, so I know that Kennen really hasn't warded and end up getting a really easy gank up here at top, even making him blow his ultimate. Now see that ward on River? That ward on River is actually going to pay off huge here. I see the Lee Sin coming up, and I kind of hide a little bit so he can't see me. He then walks past me, allowing me to walk up behind him, slow him, and ulti him for a really quick and easy kill. So the moral of that story is these wards will always, always, always pay off for you. So make sure you get them. And with that, it's going to kind of end the tutorial portion of this video. We're going to move on to the masteries and the runes that I use for Jungle Nunu, and we will go from there. Okay, so here we have the masteries that I use when jungling or counter jungling Nunu. First of all, I take Summoner's Resolve. The increased gold when smiting is always helpful. I take Hardiness for the armor. I take the durability for the health per level, and Veteran Scars for the flat health. Now I put the majority of my points in utility because having his ulti on a shorter cooldown is about the only way to survive as a late game Nunu. So I take the Summoner's Insight for the improved flash. I take Expanded Mind for the mana regen to make sure that I don't really need my blue buff very often. I take Swiftness because when you combine that with Blood Boil, Nunu practically flies across the map. I take Greed because you really need to stack gold per 5 with Jungle Nunu because he doesn't clear camps all that fast. As any jungler should, you need to take Runic Affinity. I'm also going to take Awareness to, again, I clear camps slower, so I need to give myself a benefit. That benefit's going to come from increased gold and increased XP. Next, I take Intelligence for that reduced cooldown, as we talked about earlier, and Mastermind, again, for more decreased cooldowns to make him viable late game. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at my runes. Okay, so here we have the runes that I use. I take Flat Armor on my yellows. I take Attack Speed on my reds, and the reason for that is he gets a free spell per X number of auto attacks. So the increased attack speed will make that come up that much faster. I go ahead and take cooldown reduction on the blue, mainly because, like I said, the only way to survive with late game Nunu is to have that reduced cooldown duration. And the other thing is that I take gold per 10 quintessences, and the reason for that is Nunu doesn't clear camps fast. You've got to make up that gold as the jungler somehow, and that's about the best way to do it is with gold per 10 and gold per 5 items. So you've seen the masteries, you've seen the runes, you've seen the gameplay, and with that we're going to go ahead and finish this guide. If you guys have any questions or comments, please, please, please feel free to leave them. I will always read them and respond. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about these videos. Furthermore, if you think the video was good, give us a like. We'd really appreciate it. And give us some suggestions for other guides to make, and we will gladly do it. Thank you, guys.